Hi, friends. Okay, so we're down to just our last couple of weeks of reading. If we were still in school together, we would be ending our year with a novel study of a really awesome text that we would work through together. And Mrs. Bird would be introducing you to and teaching you some strategies for close reading the text. To really get a really good understanding of the characters and the plot of the story. Um, Reading really is like a journey. If you take your time from beginning to end, the author will take you on a journey that can be really exciting. And along the way, the author puts in little clues to help the reader deeply understand the characters and the plot. And these are called signposts. These are places where the reader will notice something and then stop. Sorry, guys, and then stop and think about how this is going to affect the text. So as you can see, there are 6, and if we were in school, I would be teaching them all to you. But since we're kind of down to the wire, I am going to focus just on 2, maybe 3, but probably just 2. And the first one is called the aha moment. This one should be really easy for you because you have aha moments all the time. An aha moment is when you finally figure out something and that light bulb in your head goes off and you realize what's happening, and then you might say, "Oh, I get it." Maybe you've been struggling in school with a really hard math problem, but you don't give up and you keep working at it. And then you have that moment where all the pieces come together and you go, "Oh, I can do it." That's an aha moment. So that happens to the characters in the books that we read too. The character has an aha moment when they realize, understand, or finally figure something out. There's 2 main reasons why a character will have an aha moment. The first is when they figure out a problem or how to solve the problem in the story. We need to stop and ask ourselves, how might this change the character's actions? How might this change the story? Now that the character has had this aha moment, how will this change things? If you're reading a novel, this can happen multiple times in the story because we know that there are multiple problems in a story. So a character might have these moments more than once. If you're reading a picture book or you're watching a video clip like we're going to practice, you might just notice one if it's a shorter text. Another reason that a character might have an aha moment usually comes towards the end if they're figuring out an important life lesson. This usually happens because the author has a message for the reader, and he wants us to learn something about life through the character. It's important to pay attention to the fact that these aha moments are aha moments for the character, not for the reader, because you might be reading and figuring things out and going, "Oh, I figured it out." That's an aha moment that you're having as a reader. We're focusing on the aha moments that the characters have in the text that we're reading. Um, if the character has an aha moment because they learn a really important lesson at the end of the story or at the end of a part, this is called the theme. And we don't need to get into that too much, but that's really what it is. It's called the theme of the story. So I want to show you what I mean, and we're going to practice through watching a short video clip that's just a couple minutes long. It's called For the Birds. And as we watch, we're going to look for those moments when a character realizes, understands, or finally figures out something. And then we're going to stop and ask ourselves, how might this change things for the character or for the story. I'm going to stop and do some thinking as we go along too, just to kind of model what I am thinking about along the way. So let me pull up that video. All right, make sure I'm out of the way. All right, here we go. Maybe. I think it's frozen, guys. All right, here we go. Okay, guys, sorry about that. I had to pause because it wasn't working right. Okay, we're going to keep going. Notice how the characters are making fun of the bird. They're not being very nice. They move away from him, start whispering. He doesn't seem to understand they're making fun of him and that they're unhappy. This is our first aha moment. I'm not sure if you caught it because the video is really kind of being yuck. But did you notice that the bird right here, he got pecked him, and then all of a sudden, what happened? Did you see his eyes go? And he realized how to get him to fall. If he pecks him in the toes, he's going to fall. So I want to stop and ask myself, this character just figured out how to get the bird off of the wire. How is this going to change things? Well, I think it's going to change his behavior. He's going to continue to peck and peck and peck until that bird falls off. Let's watch and see what happens. There it is. This character is having an aha moment right now. He's watching that the birds are pecking and that the big bird is almost off the wire, and he's having an aha moment. How might this change things? Do you think you know what it is he's realized? I think he's realized that that big bird has pulled them all the way down, and when he lets go of his last finger, I think that bird has realized what's going to happen. Did you know what it is? It's going to shoot them all up in the sky. So how is this going to change things? I think he's going to try to stop it because he doesn't want to be flung up. So I think it's going to change the behavior of this character, and he's going to try to get the other characters to stop. Let's see if that's what happens. Now who's laughing, huh? All these naked birdies. Okay. So there was actually 2 aha moments in that short piece of text. And again, that aha moment when a character realizes, understands, or figures out something. What happened there is those characters, that little bird realized what was going to happen, and then it changed his behavior. I don't think the characters learned an important life lesson. Maybe at the end they realized it's not fun to be laughed at. Like they were laughing and making fun of the bird. They probably didn't like it, right? Because then at the end, when they had no feathers, he was laughing at them. So maybe there is a life lesson in there as well. But we noticed the eyes of the characters get real big when they realize something. So now, though, I want to look at a piece of text, an actual piece of written text, where I can kind of show you how an author lets the reader know that an aha moment is taking place. Sometimes when a character realizes in a story, the author will use words like, suddenly I realized, or in an instant I knew. It came to me in a flash. Now I understood. I finally got it. Those are some words you might actually see written in the text to help clue you in. So, as a reader, when you come to words like this, where the author is telling you that the character has realized something, you want to stop and notice what's going on. And then remember that big question you want to ask yourself: how might this change things? Do you remember early on in our distance learning days, we read a book from Epic called The Bad Easter Bunny? I'm going to pull that up because there are actually a couple of aha moments that the Easter Bunny has. So I'm not going to reread the whole text, but if you can kind of go back in your brain, do you remember how the Easter Bunny got really mad when the boys and girls did not appreciate him and they knocked him on the ground and they never said thank you? So he kind of goes around like terrorizing the town. I'm going to start reading here. And remember, we're looking for those clues to let us know that a character has figured something out. A little girl on a scooter saw the mess and the sick Easter Bunny. Why are there broken toys and candy wrappers everywhere? She asked. Bad Easter Bunny replied, I was mad that no one appreciates me, so I decided to be the bad Easter Bunny. I appreciate you, said the little girl, throwing her arms around him. They gave each other a huge hug. Just because someone doesn't always say they're grateful doesn't mean they're not. Tears fell from the bad Easter Bunny's eyes, and his fur began to turn blue again. He realized, oh, there are those words. So the bad Easter Bunny is about to realize something, and the author even puts it right here. He realized. He realized he'd been foolish and silly, ruining all the presents and the holidays. He's realized that his behavior was silly. How might this change things? Well, it changes things because if you realize that you're acting in a way that's not okay, you're most likely going to stop. So I think that's the author's clue that we can predict that the bad Easter Bunny is going to stop destroying the town and destroying Easter. Let's keep reading. The bad Easter Bunny wanted to give the little girl a present, but there didn't seem to be anything left. He crawled into the giant sack, looking to see if there might be something that wasn't broken or eaten. As the Easter Bunny swung his flashlight, he spotted a bright red shiny wrapper glinting in the darkness. It was an unopened piece of candy. So I think we're right. He has changed his behavior, right? He is trying to do something nice now instead of being bad. This is for you, said the bad Easter Bunny, who no longer wanted to be a bad bunny. The little girl was delighted and said the words the Easter Bunny had been longing to hear. Thank you. On hearing those magic words, the Easter Bunny began to change color. He went from pale blue to bright pink. The little girl broke the piece of candy in half for them to share. At that moment, the Easter Bunny realized that being bad will not solve your problems and that thank you are the nicest words in the world. Did you see it, readers? Did you see the words that the author gave us to clue us in to an aha moment? If you didn't find it, pause the video and reread the words on this page, okay? All right. So right here, the author says, at that moment, the Easter Bunny realized that being bad will not solve your problems and that thank you are the nicest words in the world. To me, readers, this is an aha moment that leads us to an important life lesson. This is the theme. The Easter Bunny realized, finally figured out that being bad, being angry is not going to solve your problems. And he also learns an important lesson about the power of saying thank you. So, how might this change things? Well, I think that the next time that the Easter Bunny gets upset, he's going to try to solve this problem in a different way than being angry. He might even ask or say to the kids that he needs them to say thank you. Do you see how if we are reading carefully and closely and we know what we're on the lookout for, we can really understand our characters more deeply? So we have just learned the signpost called aha moment and a reminder that today and every day when you're reading, you can be on the lookout for when your character realizes, understands, or finally figures out something in the story. And then we want to stop. We want to ask ourselves, how might this change things? Go down to the next block where I'm going to give you directions for what I want you to do to practice this strategy. Thank you for carefully listening. I know this was a long mini lesson, guys, but I wanted to give you a couple examples. Really well done.